I'm Danny, I'm a wildlife photographer. Most of my friends have a tail, and today I'm going to answer your questions. But I want to start at my favourite place. This is one of my favourite places, after the squirrel forest. In the middle of the lake there are no mosquitoes, and it is just so calm and peaceful. You probably wouldn't have guessed this, but it's 11 o'clock at night, and the sun has just set. I'm going to start the Q&A with answering questions from my patrons. Ashley asks, what's your most memorable adventure from the last year? It was definitely going to Hare Island in Arctic Norway. Being on an island surrounded by 80,000 seabirds in the snow was just incredible. Daniel asks, where do you draw the line between a photo and digital artwork? Personally, when I edit my photos, I really focus on colours and light, and I try to get everything correct in camera, and it just makes the editing process quicker because if the photo is good, then the edit is easy. Sometimes I extend photos and I take two photos and put them together, but I don't really ever remove something, and I never add anything new to the photo. John asks, where in the world would you most like to go? Well, I am super excited to be going to Iceland next year. That's been on the bucket list for years, and there's actually just a couple of spots left on my group trip, so if you want to come, you can. But the other place I really want to go to, actually I've got two, Antarctica, which I'm actually doing next February, and the other place, which currently is a dream, is Japan during the winter. There's so much cool wildlife there, and Japan looks amazing, the wildlife looks amazing, so maybe that could be a group trip? Let me know if you'd want to come. Next question is, have you got any upcoming trips? And we've just booked 10 weeks in Mexico. We were supposed to go this spring, but we got our residency cards to live in Sweden, so we've stayed since December, but I'm really excited to go back this September. Speaking of Mexico, we're going to make chilaquiles for lunch. Sharon asks, have you ever considered a photo shoot in the USA? I would love to go to America, Alaska for bears, Yellowstone, there's so many locations, maybe one day. Okay, cooking is on hold. There is a baby leveret mountain hare, or a baby mountain hare, literally outside, and yesterday I managed to get like 2 meters away from it because it's super tame. I think it's because it's a baby, but I'm gonna go out with my camera, so. Would you consider doing more live streams? Juan and I tried to set up a live stream for about 2 weeks. We had so many different issues, but it is still my dream to have a permanent live stream in the squirrel forest. That mountain hare was utterly adorable. I'm amazed at how close I can get to it. But yeah, back to cooking. So the first thing is I'm making a salsa. You kind of need to char it because typically it would be made on a grill and it burns a bit, and then you blend it. You cook your deep fried tortilla slices or just tortilla chips with the sauce, and it's amazing. I've come to the squirrel forest to set up a camera trap for the squirrels. I've already seen 3 red squirrels, so that's great. I'm actually shooting for my next calendar, and the past week I've been organising all my winter photos, and now I need to concentrate on summer photos. So I am setting it up at a rock, and I thought I'd answer some questions as I set up. This is the rock that I want the squirrels to sit on. The sunrise goes up this direction, and it will be really low up until maybe that direction. So I'm going to have the camera here pointing like this way, and you'll have the squirrel on the corner and then this lovely forest backdrop. So that's the plan. One question I get all the time, which is why squirrels? And squirrels basically allowed me to do this full time. I was here 3 years ago with the baby squirrels, and basically it kickstarted my career as a wildlife photographer, so I feel like I owe it to them. Ugh, this is the wrong one. And the right one is on that camera. Okay, hang on, sorry, pause. Okay, one moment. Hello? Hello, have you come to see what I'm doing?
Don't I recognise you? Let me have a look at you.
What's going on with the squirrels? What's going on with you guys? Generally they're fine. They've been eating pine cones, which aren't ripe, so they're not eating the seeds, but they're actually licking the sap. So they've got these black strips around their mouths, and they look like vampires. So that's funny. In regards to the squirrel forest, I'm planning to set up a crowdfunder. The reason it's taken 6 months is because I had to agree with the owner on the price, and we've agreed 500,000 SEK, which I'm going to raise via crowdfunding. And the other day, Juan and I walked all the way to the other end of the plot because it's actually massive. It goes towards another lake, but the middle section has already been almost entirely deforested. So this area has forest, there's another small woodland, and that's it. I'd love to have a rewilding project. There's so few wildflowers here, and I'd love to have a massive wild meadow and maybe plant some trees. So this is my composition, and I want the squirrel to sit there, and then this will be the backdrop. I'm done. I've set up the camera trap. I'm so fed up with these mosquitoes, but it looks stunning in the forest. It looks so, so nice. Love it here. Thank you Squarespace for sponsoring this video. So the other day I was looking at my website and I realised it doesn't reflect who I am, and I started to look at Squarespace's templates to get some inspiration, and there are so many unique templates and it totally enlightened me. And now I'm working on a brand new website design and I am so excited. I'm going to use footage for some backgrounds, the banner will be snow, and I'm going to have some drone clips. Also, do you like my new logo? I'm hoping to launch my new Squarespace website in a couple of weeks. If you'd like to give Squarespace a go, head to squarespace.com/daniconnorwild and you can save 10% off a new website or a domain. Next question is, how remote is our house in Sweden? We have a village shop, we have a mini petrol station and a museum which is open whenever you want. Basically, you have to just ask and you can go in, but we're actually an hour from the nearest city, so it is a bit annoying if we want to do a big food shop, or if we want to go swimming, or if we want to go to the cinema. It takes us 2 hours return, but it's not too bad. Is there anything you dislike about Sweden? There's certainly a few things that I dislike and I'm coming to terms with. Hunting, and just generally their thoughts on wildlife. Like, for example, if there's an injured deer in the UK, there would be so many different rescue centres that could probably take it in. And here, they just shoot it. It's very different. There's also a lot of deforestation here. Oh my god, these flies are crazy. I'm gonna move. I couldn't deal with the mosquitoes and the midges and all the bugs. How do you deal and prevent photography burnout? This year has actually been the first time that I've actually been burnt out from what I do, and that was kind of scary. I went to the forest one day and there weren't any squirrels. Before, I would go to the forest to enjoy it and be present and connect with nature, and because I wasn't being productive, I felt the need to come home and start editing, and that's what I did. This year it hasn't been uncommon that I have days where I'm editing for 12 hours. I've definitely got better with it now. I take more days off. I've had lots of questions relating to how I monetize my work, how I get my work noticed, how I started. If this is a topic you're interested in, let me know because I can do a whole video on this. Okay, let's start with my tips. Where do I begin? I think my main tip is to have multiple streams of revenue. I do sponsorship integrations, I get some AdSense money from YouTube, like if you watch a video, you watch an ad, that gives me income. I have Patreon, I sell calendars, so I have multiple streams and I've built them all up to a good level, but I think that's really important when you're freelance, is to have different streams, and also it keeps your work interesting because you're doing various things. My second tip is promote yourself as a person, which is a bit weird because you want your photography to be about your photos and about your subjects, but I think when you're starting out it's really important to show the audience who the photographer is and their journey and their feelings and their thoughts about their photographs and what their inspirations are, because at the end of the day there are so many good photographers out there, so it's important to share yourself. Okay, my last quick final tip is to make your own opportunities. If you have a passion project, go for it. Try and find a sponsor or someone you can collaborate with, but don't wait on them, just do it, if you can. I was very lucky when I was first in Sweden. It was lockdown, I had just quit my job, and I was going to give myself 4 months to try photography, and then I was going to start a PhD. That was the plan. And I was just like, this is a time to chill out, work on my photography again, before starting 4 years of research and just being very stressed with a PhD. And I could never have expected to actually make a career out of this and buy a house here, but here I am. What's your favourite photo of the year? To me, this photo encompasses how I feel about the squirrel forest. It's just enchanted. The light, the backlight, the blue colours, the fresh snow, the little snowflake on the head. It might be a calendar cover photo. I need it printed. I need it. I love it. Are you going to sell prints? Yes, finally. I am going to start doing limited edition fine art prints, which I have never done. I have literally never printed my photos except on my calendar. So I am so excited. I think every photographer's dream is to have their photos printed. So I am excited. Did you always have a goal of becoming a content creator? I don't think it was ever necessarily a goal. When I went to university, I thought I would go into science, so I studied zoology, and I never really considered photography. I definitely didn't consider anything social media related, and I guess the goal only really came to me when I started doing photography full-time here in Sweden, and I started to gain some momentum on social media, and then I wondered, how can I take this further? What's it like to do what you love every day? Although obviously in my vlogs I show myself out in nature and doing photography and being with wildlife, that's probably just 10 or 20% of actually what I do, and most of it is indoors, editing or planning videos or organising footage. There's a lot that goes behind the scenes that is really boring and I don't show in videos. What job were you doing before? I worked at the Natural History Museum in London as a nature educator and like a visitor experience. There's a woodpecker. I also worked at some zoos, doing some hands-on stuff with animals, and again, engaging people about wildlife and animals. And honestly, I thought I was going to study more, and I came here for a break from London and a gap between working and starting my PhD, and then I haven't really left. I had a lot of questions about my current kit list, so I'm just going to go through everything. Currently, I'm shooting with the R5 and the 24mm RF lens. I've got the 100-400 Mark II, 5D Mark IV, which I use for camera trapping, the DJI Mavic Mini 3, Pro 3, the 24-105 RF, the EOS R and the 16mm, and then I have the 1.4 and 2x teleconverters for my 300mm f2.8. This year I really want to downscale my equipment. I've got lots of lenses and cameras that I don't really use, so I think I'm going to get an R5 and completely get rid of all of my EF equipment and just have RF, so I don't need to deal with converters, and I'm hoping that will improve my workflow and just make me efficient and less stressed. Joran asks, can you explain why one of my squirrels has a lot of grey in the fur? It seems like it's just a red squirrel transitioning from a silver coat to its summer coat, because I can see it's a bit patchy. Some squirrels transition very quickly, some it takes them several weeks, even months, and they will have a grey coat even at the end of summer. Cassius-san asks, do you have any advice for us city folk who love our neighbourhood squirrels? Feed them or leave them alone? I definitely think you can feed them, but I would feed them valuable food like walnuts or hazelnuts, because city squirrels get used to eating bread and they just become fat, and their diet is actually nutritionally poor, so give them something good, but not overdo it. Also, Juan has joined me to help steer the boat. Thanks. so nice. There are no mosquitoes. It's so good. We should come here all the time. We could just have a picnic here.
Bring the router.
Yeah, I can bring my laptop.